Hello YouTube, I'm here. I would like to share with you my Mamoul foolproof dough mix that doesn't need any special ingredients. So what the recipe that I'm making right now is doubled. I will post it at the end of the video, which would make depending on how big you make the cookies, the Mamoul cookies, it could yield between 70 to 100 pieces. I have doubled the recipe and it made 192 pieces. So here I mixed the semolina, which is the not the there's two types of semolina, which one of them is coarse and one of them is like soft grind. I would like to use the soft grind, but if you want you could use the coarse. Mix both of them together. I mix it with the flour and a pinch of salt, and I like to mix them together before I add the melted butter. And for the melted butter, I'm using the vegetarian Middle Eastern ghee. It's not animal based because the animal based I find that has a smell to it that ruins the flavor of the Mamoul. So I have melted 4 cups of the Middle Eastern ghee, and then you mix it with the semolina flour mixture. The goal here is to make sure that no grain of semolina is dry. You want to make sure that all grains of semolina are soaked with the ghee butter. So you rub it between your hands until you make sure it's all like wet sand. Once you achieve that, you have to cover it and let it rest for at least 6 hours. 6 to 12 hours. So after I covered it for 12 hours, I came back and I remixed it again. You want to do this at least one time before you add your yeast and water mixture. I did it 2 times, but I only show you guys when I did it once. And then you cover it and you let it rest for a minimum of another 6 hours. So after it rested, I came back and I added the remaining ingredients, which are sugar, yeast, mahlab. I have no idea what is mahlab in English. If I'll look it up and I'll post it at the end of the video. And if you do have mystica, which is the Arabic gum, if you have ground mystica, you could add half a small teaspoon. But I don't have any, and I don't see the point of using it. I've never used it, so, and it never ruined the flavor of the dough. So after I added all this, add the water, but you don't add the water all at once. Because I'm doubling the recipe, it requires 2 cups of water. I will add 1.5 cup at first and see if I need the remaining half or not. And how do you know if you need it? If the dough is not gathering together, then you need the extra water. If it's gathering together already and if it's forming, if like you try to form a ball and if it's forming, then you don't need the the remaining water. It all goes by how 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 you see it, how it feels in your hand. And do not overmix. Overmixing activates the gluten, and it makes it into like kind of like bread, um, sugar cookies, and we don't want that. We want it to, like when you bite into it, we want it to crumble in the mouth. So after it came together, you cover it and you wait on it for half an hour to 45 minutes. And now after it's done, if it gets dry, if it got dry a little bit on you, you could sprinkle it with water and mix it like I did. But if it didn't get dry, then you could skip this step. With mine, uh, we have the hot summer and our house was a little bit hot. It dried up a little bit, so I had to add like probably a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of water, no more than that. And then when you're forming your balls to stuff them, you want to make sure you cover the dough so it doesn't get dry while you're working on it, especially when you're making like a big amount like the one I'm making. And also keep a small bowl of water next to you. Put like a drop of water on the palm of your hand, and then form your dough. This way you ensure that you did not add more water than you need, and that tiny bit of water will help the dough come together and form the ball. And that's it. You just stuff it, shape it to whatever shape you want. Pretty sure there is 100 million ways you could decorate this. I just used the basic one that I know. You could use what do they call them? Any type of mold you have. There's silicone molds, there's the mooncake mold, there's the Mamoul mold. You could even use a fork to put the decoration. The decoration are there to hold the sugar, to grab onto the sugar. Like at the end, you sprinkle it with powdered sugar. So the decorations, the indentations, they hold onto the sugar because you see the whole dough, which was 12 cups of semolina and 2 cups of flour. We only added 1 cup of sugar, so it's really bland in taste. It relies on the stuffing. Like if you're stuffing it with dates, with nuts, the stuffing needs to be sweet a little bit, and the powdered sugar that you sprinkle on top. And that's it. I hope you try this recipe and let me know if it worked for you. And if you have any questions, you could contact me here on YouTube. You could contact me on Snapchat. And Eid Mubarak, everyone.